So let's say a company provides a service via an application. Whenever that application goes wrong or when things need to be fixed or customers have issues with that, that's when they would reach out to customer support first to state the issue and try to solve it with our tools. Then if not, that would, kind of get pushed off to engineering side of things. But that's probably why it's the most important, because we are kind of the front line in understanding the customer's problems and also understanding the software.
Welcome to the Unknown Options. My name is Will, and today I have with me Victor. Victor, it's great to have you here. Give us a rundown on who you are and what you do.
Hey, thank you for having me. My name is Victor Newsome. Actually, William's one of his older brothers. I'm married. I have a kid, and we recently just bought a house, so that's something that's really interesting. But also, it's a lot of effort to keep it up, I realize. So those are some starting things about me.
Awesome. Yes. Baby Elena and sister Tisha. Your journey is important, Victor, so you want to highlight the good, the bad, and the ugly. For someone who might not know, what is a senior customer support expert?
So a senior customer support expert is basically within the realm of IT support, but with a heavy focus on the customer care. So we specifically for my job, I kind of handle customers with the application software that we support and make sure that their needs are being met with the software. If their needs are not being met, that's when they would create tickets, and we kind of reach out and go from there to troubleshoot their issues.
Okay, I love that. IT support, as we know, like tech IT is like a really like sought after industry. How did you get started in IT support?
I kind of fell in it. So in high school, I really didn't know what I was going to do as far as college. Honestly, I didn't know I was going to go to college because my grades weren't the best. But I took this class. It's called computer. I think it was Computer Engineering 1. And I don't know why I took it. I think someone convinced me to take it. They said it was easy, I think. But then I met this teacher named Mr. Sutton. I think you remember him.
Yeah.
He was one of the girls basketball coaches as well at the high school. But he broke things down in IT that were really plain language. It didn't seem as hard as I expected it to be. So it seemed I kind of gravitated easily towards it. It kind of made sense to me a lot faster. So that's what I majored in college. Throughout college, I got a job on campus as like the school IT tech for the school, and that's kind of where I had my first career opportunity to like learn more about IT support.
Okay, I love that. There's a lady I go to the gym with, and she says she's a wife of one of like our teachers. I know it was your teacher. I forgot. I gotta ask her because I see her in the areas all the time. But like her husband worked at Butler, and she was saying that like. But I know I never had him, but you had him. But I'm thinking it was sons. I gotta ask you what her name. Anyways, back to okay, that's awesome journey. We'll dive deeper into it later. Why is IT support important, and like what does it contribute to like really, I guess, society as a whole?
Yeah, so I would say it's very important as far as applications. So let's say a company provides a service via an application. Whenever that application goes wrong or when things need to be fixed or customers have issues with that, that's when they would reach out to customer support first to state the issue and try to solve it with our tools. Then if not, that would, kind of get pushed off to engineering side of things. But that's probably why it's the most important, because we are kind of the front line in understanding the customer's problems and also understanding the software. So we're a good middle ground between the two, internal teams and also external customers.
Okay, I like that. So you're technical enough to deal with like the issue, but you're not technical enough like to be an engineer. Is that true? Or
Yeah, that's we're basically like probably 2 steps away from being an engineer. Like we kind of understand what's going wrong, but we can't fix it. To get it to where the customer's working again, we have to kind of send that up.
Are there some issues that you like that come around a lot that you can fix yourself? Like you've heard it enough that you're like, okay, I know how to do this now because I've heard it.
Yeah, and it depends. And some of the things we have, and that's another thing with IT support is like only certain permissions you can have just being the nature of support. So it's like some things are just closed off strictly for the engineering team or research and development teams. but they do give us access, to handle those. As a senior expert, they give us access to handle those more complex problems.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, you told us about your high school experience and how that led you to computer engineering with Mr. Sutton. Tell us about like your experience in college with that major, and then that translating to your first out of college job, because that's usually the hardest job to get,
Mhm.
is that first job. I know a lot of people right now, they're probably struggling like with the recession, just graduated maybe, I guess
Yeah,
maybe in June, and like, how do I get my first out of college job?
yeah, yeah. So I would say I probably should have paid more attention in college, because some of the courses I had. So the school I went to was is focused on liberal arts. So, but they did have an IT program. So the IT program was kind of lacking as far as up to date information, but it was still good. But some of the tools we were using were kind of outdated. So that was another. That's probably the first thing you would want to do. Like make sure you research the program that you're going to. If you're going to IT, like look up what software they're using, like in class and labs, just to make sure you're starting from a good point. Because, like I said, some of the first three courses that were strictly for IT for my major requirements, they were like about Visual Basic, and it's like only a couple. And Visual Basic software isn't really used prevalently like around, as far as corporate America. So it's like it's really niche. Like, so I'm not, and I haven't really used that in any of my roles. I've used some of the other technology, like I use HTML, I use a little bit of coding, I use SQL, I use like Tableau and stuff like that, and that's what we learned in my higher towards the end of my major. But some of those first couple courses kind of, I didn't really see why we were learning outdated skills. Well, not outdated because some companies use them, but not as prevalently used in the corporate world. So I would say that's the number one, but also try to look for like societies that are around your major. So we had one called, I think it was called like the Academy of Computer Engineers, but the cohort was so small, like we barely did anything. Like we had like it was basically like another class after hours. Like the instructor, he basically just went over like topics, but we didn't like do any projects together. There was no team building. So see if you have like an instructor that would want to sponsor something like that, or if they have something at another campus nearby where you can join to learn more about the field and what like after college looks like. Those are probably two areas I definitely could have helped to grow my career.
Okay, that makes sense. Do you think college is required? Well, I guess one I guess additional question is, how did
Mhm.
you, even though like Visual Studio wasn't like, it was like a niche player, you didn't
Mhm.
really use it. How was like the interview process like, like, because maybe you didn't, I don't know if you learned those skills like SQL and Tableau and all that stuff like on like a cert, or you learned it in like later classes. How did those how did you really jump from like, I guess, the later classes where maybe you learned those needed skills to the first job, and how's that interview process for your first job?
Oh, okay. So yeah, in college, we had like some database classes, and we also had like HTML classes, and I kind of knew some of that stuff from high school. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say like if you are in high school or thinking about it, like definitely take some whatever classes you have in your high school. It really does give you like a leg up, because I was blowing through my HTML class. Like I was done with half my work by the time class started, just because I kind of knew everything and everybody else was kind of learning as we went. So that was a really good jump. But as far as like through the interview process, um, coming straight out of college, they're not really expecting you to know like how to I would say even problem solve at that point. Like as an entry level job, they just really want you to understand like key terms and understand what that means. So like my very first job, which is kind of left field, I was like a VoIP analyst, which is voice over IP technician, and they didn't really ask me anything technical. They just wanted me to understand, like, do I understand what voice over IP is? Do I understand what the IP address is? Kind of explain that in a way, and they kind of ask questions about, oh, can you explain this to like you're explaining to like a high school student, and like what does it do? So they really just want you to understand the terms that they use in the industry, and not so much like problem solving. Like they'll throw a, it's not like I'm doing like a software engineer interview where they like throw a problem on the board and expect me to solve it. It's more so about, do you understand these terms? Because these terms build upon themselves when you get a job, and when you get the job, they kind of teach you everything you need to know. Especially with VoIP over IP, it's kind of, any VoIP job is really difficult to try to. If you didn't have a job before that in that same career field, it's kind of almost impossible to learn, because most universities don't have specific classes specifically doing to like radio frequency and wireless frequency, which is really dealing with a lot of VoIP protocols.
Okay, I like that. And you hit something. They said that you were running through like your college course
Mm-hmm.
because you learned it. You learned like the coding HTML in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that, is college, or do you think college is necessary to be in IT support, a senior IT support?
No, I wouldn't say it's necessary, because you can definitely, go to. I'm doing one now in Coursera. You can definitely go to Coursera, get certified, and other, certification programs to get certified. But I would say that most companies just want to see the degree, and I'm not 100% sure why. Even at my first job, I heard a conversation about, because they hired a lot of veterans, and they said you either have to be a veteran, so serve in the military for a certain amount of years, or have a college degree as an entry point to come to the job. So it's like they wanted some, and I guess the college degree showed like determination and the ability to achieve something. Because you stick with it for 4+ years, however long it takes you to graduate.
Yeah,
And the same thing with the veteran mindset. Like, it's like you served the country, you dedicated your life to protect the country. So it makes sense. But I think, I'll be really shocked to see like the statistics as far as companies rejecting people versus like accepting them without the degree. Because I know there are some companies that don't mind it, but the couple companies I have, they like require as a just a you just have to have it, whether it's in IT or not. You have to have a degree in something.
definitely. Yeah, I think it's exactly what you said. It's like kind of like skin in the game. Like they're like,
Mm-hmm.
this person has to do something before they,
Yeah,
even though it doesn't really make sense in hindsight.
yeah,
It's like if it's like an entry level job, anyone should be able to do it. As long as it's not like some type of super engineer or medical job. It's like
yeah.
if they can comprehend, they could probably do a job. But
Mm-hmm.
saying that, is there a barrier to entry into the IT support field other than the college degree? And do you think it's gonna like the field will like explode in the future or slow a little bit down?
I mean, I think it'll probably stay the same, because is anyone known that has applied to like an entry IT job? Like, there's millions of jobs out there, and there's only so many. So it's like you get rejected at least 500 times from different companies, just, and you all have the same resume. Especially if you're coming straight out of college, you may have did an internship, you may have not, you may have got a certification through like one of your programs in college, you may have not. So it's like everyone looks the same. So it's really about if they like you or not at the end of the day, because they can't expect you to know certain things, especially your first job. So that's like the biggest barrier. Is like there's like a joke where it's like an IT entry level needs 4 to 5 years of experience, but it's like, to do this you need 4 to 5 years of experience. So it's like, how
Yeah,
there's I'm always gonna be missing experience in order for me to do like the basic job. Like, what? That doesn't make sense. So
yeah,
yeah, the I would say like it'll definitely like probably keep where it is, because it's growing, but it's like the demand is growing, but also the supply is growing. So it's like they're both going up, because and then that creates like people that can't find a job.
what are, like if people like I kind of know like there's people like I was in health systems management, so I
Mm-hmm.
kind of like got like a degree just to get just to get out of school.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them went to like mass like we all. I can follow a lot of people on Instagram because we were all in the same classes. I grew up
Mm-hmm.
with some of them from Butler, so we're all working in massive different fields. What are some fields that people go into that have your degree that's not IT support?
Good question. I would say like you could definitely go into um I would say like probably like a problem solving field. So kind of like if you're like a program manager for like a nonprofit or something. Because really like it IT is just strictly based on like technical skills. So if you don't have the technical skills, but you understand how to problem solve, you can kind of take that anywhere. And I say program manager specifically because I know some people that they're running programs like for like, let's say like for food pantries and stuff like that. but they're problem solving, how to figure out how much money that they spend on food this month versus, next month, and using like analytics to determine like how much like the demand of food they need to purchase for the next month and stuff like that. So it can really take you anywhere as far as, and even kind of like in other analytical jobs where you may not use like a lot of technical skills or expected to know them. It's more about like, finding solutions to problems.
Yeah.
And let's see.
I think data, like you said, you hit it on the nail on the head. I think data analytics, because if you learn like SQL and Tableau, that's like two like I think SQL is like one of the most required
Yeah.
skills for data analytic positions, and
Yeah.
Tableau is definitely not like right below it. So it's like I think that would be a good alternative to like data analytics, data science too. Honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. What I mean, we've explained like kind of like the precursor to like your journey. Give us your day to day and your position and like the evolution of, because obviously like this is, well, I'm not gonna spoil the story, but like I know you've had multiple jobs, like the evolution of you, and obviously like I introduced you as senior, so
Mhm.
that means you're like management. So tell us like what you do in your job now, and then how your job evolved from like the first role in college to where you are now.
Okay. Yeah. So what I do now is, um, I work for a restaurant software development company. Basically, they provide software for restaurants to handle their front end and back end. So front end is basically anything the customer sees. So like, waitresses, they may use like devices to take your orders. You may use technology to pay for your food. That's all front end, but back end is everything like the owner or management may use. So let's say like the accounting, they may have an accounting team to reconcile their books. They may have like an operation manager that like uh, controls ordering the food every week and stuff like that. So our technology kind of handles everything for the restaurant. And my day-to-day job is basically, customers with that, if they have issues with that software, they'll create tickets, and I kind of pick up those tickets and troubleshoot the issue with them via our ticketing system. If the customer does have a lot of complaints and they need help like going through the software, it can be kind of confusing sometimes. I'll set up a Zoom call with them. I may have, but maybe 1 to 2 Zoom calls a day with customers. And then if I'm not doing that, I'm working with our management team to try to streamline our processes, try to make our tickets go a little bit faster, and also allow customers to access new features in the program a little bit quicker. Um, so yes, that's kind of like my day to day.
One question too before you answer the next one. When you meet with customers, are you meeting customers all? Cause I know like it's a restaurant software. Are you meeting with customers all across the United States, or is it kind of like one general area?
Yeah, so we're currently all in the U.S. There's a couple restaurants in Greenland, in the UK, in India. I don't think we hit Africa yet, and some in Canada. So yeah, so they're gonna be customers from everywhere. Different language barriers, and sometimes we do have language barriers, so we have to jump on a Zoom call, or I can ask one of my coworkers who may have speak that language to kind of translate a little bit while we're on the call. So yeah, those things do come up as well.
Okay. Oh dang, that's crazy. And
Yeah,
then okay, back on topic. Then talk about the evolution to I guess how you became a senior
yeah.
in this
Okay,
industry.
yeah. So before I joined this company, I had a couple different roles. Like I said, my first role I was a VoIP over, which is voice over IP technician. That was like that was probably the biggest jump of learning gap I ever had. Like every day I went to work, I had no idea what I was doing, just because, like I said, VoIP technology and like radio frequency and understanding SIP is protocols is just you can't teach that in college. There's not enough time.
Yeah.
So from there, I didn't like that because for one, I didn't really know what I was doing half the time. I was kind of learning on the go. But for two, I didn't really study that in college. I felt like I was wasting my skills. And thirdly, I was second shift, so I would go to work at 11 o'clock, get off around 8 o'clock a day every day, and I had to drive like almost an hour and a half back home. So I was, yeah,
But
I had
it
that.
wasn't remote.
No, it was not remote. I could have worked from home sometimes, but since I was new, they really didn't like people, especially the new hires working from home a lot. So if I had like stuff being delivered, they'll let me work from home. But if there was no issues. They're like, yeah, you gotta come in.
That's only like Amazon shift 11 to 8 because then like you gotta prep to get there, so you gotta leave home at like 6, and
Yeah,
you didn't get home to like almost 12, 1 in the morning.
it was not the best. I mean, the job, it was, they helped me, learn, but it wasn't stressful. It was just like all the other parts of the job just wasn't fun.
Yeah,
So
that makes
then,
sense.
so I started applying for other IT roles that felt like suited my skill set. So I got a job at a University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and I really liked that job. That was a nice job. I worked for their graduate programs for the business school. So basically, I was the lead technician for all the professors, students, and staff that worked in the business school building. So I would help the professors set up courses, try to streamline their website for the students to take tests and quizzes, and also come up with different ideas for the students, and also support them while they're in class. So if they had issues with their physical technology and also like the software aspect, I would work with them. And also I had the the opportunity to work with like the business school IT team as well to lead like different projects to updating their database servers and stuff like that. And that's where I kind of first started using my SQL skills. They kind of just asked me to do it one day. I was like, I did it in high school. I mean, college, but I was like, I never did it before. So they kind of taught me how to do it. So that was really cool. So I stayed there for about 2 years. And another reason why I left that job, I really liked it, but that was about an hour and a half away from where I was living. So I would make that drive every day, an hour and a half, but that was first shift. So I would leave the house maybe around like 7 o'clock just to get there at like 9:30. I get home around like 8 o'clock every day. And then on Mondays, that's when they had, so the executive business program where I supported, there was basically that class was for any young professionals between like 30 and 38, or no, probably like 28 to 38. That was a program that was making big money for them. I think the tuition was like 90 grand a year.
Is it a master's program?
It's an executive master's program. So it's like they have an MBA, but this MBA, this EMBA, they call it EMBA, but this EMBA is for people who are like really serious. They're basically looking to be like an executive in a company. Yeah.
Oh,
So
do
you
you
take
gotta get like do you have to have like a special like know a special person to get in that, or is it kind of like
No, so you
just
can apply. So it's a real like strenuous like application period. Like they meet with both of the directors. They meet with like someone that was in the program before that used to work for them. They have an interview with like your current boss at your company. Then they have like another interview. It's
what?
because it's I understand because it's like the professors that teach it are like they really distinguished in all their fields and like strategy and operations, and it's a really cool program. I was actually because I would have to sit in classes like I was saying on the evenings on Mondays. I would have to support that class from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So they had a 4 hour class on Mondays every Monday. They'll sit in class for 4 hours. They have like two
Every single Monday? It wasn't like no
no
off
every single
Mondays.
Monday, 4 hour class. Um, and I would have to sit in there and I was learning stuff. I was like, okay, but some of the stuff I was like, this is taught in MBA, so I didn't understand. But they do have connections with other companies, so like when you graduate, you basically are not guaranteed an executive position, but you're basically gonna get promoted. And a lot of people that were taking it, they get promoted while in the program, which is and that's I would say that's probably guaranteed. Like it's I've seen lots of that because every time someone gets promoted, one of the learning directors he would give them a book to read, and every Monday he was giving out books like this for the 2 years I was there. So it was definitely helpful. But I forgot what I was saying about that. Oh yeah, so that was another reason why I left. 'Cause I was like, I don't feel like it was just a lot, like working 8 to 5 and then having to work on Mondays from to 9 again, and then drive an hour and a half of back and forth. And then sometimes they have a weekend program, which was basically Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So for that program, people from all over the nation they would fly into Chapel Hill. So people from like Alaska, people from Texas, people from New York, they would fly in that Friday morning, and the UNC would they provide them a hotel to stay at. They'll have class in the morning. I have to be there all morning, all night, and then I go home on Saturday, come back in the morning, and do the kind of same thing. So I was basically working like every third weekend they had class. I was working probably like 65 to 70 hours for that. And I was like, this is not fun. This is not it. But I like what I was doing. It's just it didn't seem like it fit my lifestyle the best. So then I started looking for a different position, and I got a job at one of the hospitals here as a desktop support technician too. And a month in, I realized that was not for me. That was I don't think the manager was clear about the patient contact I'll be having. Because the interview was really simple. I was the youngest person there. I kind of blew through the interview. They ran out of questions to ask me. I was like, okay, this seems like it'll be pretty easy. I'll be able to get promoted and stuff like that. But the first day they were showing me around the hospital and the different areas. And then my area got switched to the Armor Tower, which is the ED, and I was in the emergency room. That was my zone for like. I was only there for 6 months. I was there in the emergency room for like 4 months. And I was like, yo, literally a month in, I started looking for a job. I was like, I can't do this. Just the smells and being around people, it was too much. Like it was. I didn't expect, like I said, I didn't expect for all that to happen. Like for me to be surrounded by just sickness and it wasn't a good experience. Now, if I was like level 3 technician where they just sit in a cubicle and they work on the computer all day, I would have been fine with that. But I would have needed at least another year before I could apply to that.
Okay, so like the higher the level, like the better the job is essentially. Like
yeah, because the people who worked on the software, or like they call them like Epic technicians, like Epic 3 technicians who work in the Epic software.
Okay,
or if you were like a desktop 3 technician, basically anybody who worked with anything with to do with the laptops and the software and hardware, you basically sat in the office. You never had to leave. We would call them, like level 1 people would call us if they couldn't fix something, and then we couldn't fix it. We would call the level 3 people, and they would always. That's kind of how the chain went. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. If you were a younger Victor, say 18, just graduated high school, like you said, I know you said earlier you wasn't going to go to college. Would you do anything differently than what you did?
Probably not. I'll probably pay attention more in college as far as my actual course classes, because we had some good projects that kind of correlated well with what I'll be doing. It's just I don't know, I blame it on the fact that we were a liberal arts school, so it wasn't a lot of focus on like technology and STEM. It was more so just being at a liberal arts school with what that brings, like more emphasis on the fine arts. Yeah. And our nursing program was really good too, so the school was really pushing that. So I would probably say like definitely looking to like probably doing like a certification in college to learn more, but also paying attention more to my class and see how I can apply that to jobs, because I was just trying to pass a course. I wasn't expecting to learn this in order for me to use this in a job. I'm like, no, okay, this course is about databases. Let me learn the material to pass this class and go to the next one. So I wasn't really, even though I understood what I was doing and I could transfer some of the skills, I wasn't really a focus of mine to start out with.
That makes sense. Okay, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Last question from the first round. What are the possibilities for growth in the IT support ecosystem or environment?
Yeah, so I would say like kind of the model I described earlier. So when you first start as a technician, you'll often be referred to like level 1 technician or entry level IT. But then typically, depending on the company you're at, there's like at least 3 levels. Some companies even have like 3 to 4 to 5. So you can definitely move up in those different levels, and with each level, there's definitely a pay increase, and there's also more responsibility and more access. But also that increases like your understanding of how things work. So if you're an entry level technician, they probably won't teach you anything about Active Directory. They may just tell you, hey, you can reset passwords. That's it. You'll probably just be resetting passwords. If someone calls in, hey, I can't reset my password, they'll show you how to do that. But everything else within Active Directory, you'll be locked out. But if you're a level 2 technician, they'll probably teach you how to set up users in Active Directory and how to assign them to different groups and how to set up permissions for groups. And that's kind of what I was doing in at Wake Forest. So I was able to. Wake Forest is kind of crazy because they kind of just, I guess, since we're a hospital, they just allowed us to have access that I wouldn't have anywhere else. Like, so I was able to remote into different like servers and like change things. With the level 3 techs on the phone, they're like, yeah, just log in and change this, and they'll tell me what to do, kind of thing. So that was kind of crazy. That was a new experience. But like I said, so for every level um, of increase there's always new knowledge, new things to learn. And then as far as if you want to go to like the managerial route in IT, it's literally a wholly totally different shift. You wouldn't really be doing anything as far as like day to day tasks. It's more about analytics, and that's where like the downside of it is, where the managers kind of only care about how fast we're completing tickets and the efficiency of the tickets. And that's kind of where like if you really enjoy that, you can go to manager route and you can kind of be a manager in IT anywhere, because they're all, like I said, they all kind of focus on the same thing. How fast are we solving these issues? What can we do to speed up the quickness of the issues? And they're kind of removed from the technical skills as far as that. So eventually maybe I want to get to some point like that. But if you really want to learn, learn the technology, learn to use those skills, you probably want to stay away from um, being a manager and probably move into like an engineering role or something like that, where you can have more access to different tools.
So
Yeah.
middle, me and Mommy were talking about middle managers a few weeks ago. And they're like
Yeah.
pretty much useless for really simple like criticism. Okay, on to the second round, last round, the not so speed round. I'm gonna give you like some questions and then just kind of it's like same thing, but just it's gonna be like more interactive questions.
Okay.
What are 4 words that describe an IT support professional?
I'll say technical. Um, Man, I can't say that's 2 words. I'll say customer. I want to say customer focused, but I just say customer.
Okay.
That's 1 word. Efficient and I used to say speed round, but determined. Yeah, that's a good one. Determined.
Okay. Why determined?
Determined because like sometimes so let's say if you get stuck on something and your other peers on the phone, and as a level 1 technician reaching out to level 2, like for some reason level 2, like I'm thinking back being level 2, but now I'm basically like a level 2 3. So it's like sometimes you don't want to answer the level 1 tech, you just want them to figure it out. So it's like you just get stuck, and it's like you have to be determined to like keep pinging them. They'll eventually answer you, or search. You have to find different ways to find information. So you really have to be determined. You can't just like. But there's lots of times where, especially working in a hospital, where it's like this big machine in the cancer ward just went off. I have no idea what this is. Like, how am I supposed to figure out how to fix it or know who to go to fix this kind of thing? So you really have to be determined to try to figure out the answer for yourself.
When something like that happens, like when one of those big like crucial machines fails,
Yeah.
like it's like everybody on your head, like the doctors and everything, it's kind of like calm because it happens a lot.
Yeah, so it depends on what it is. So I know one thing happened where um this is like my first week there. I went, and this was before I got transferred over to the ED department. So I was working the cancer unit, and that's basically anybody that has any cancer, active cancer, or they're like getting treated for cancer, they go in this area of the hospital, and they have like this big machine where they take mammogram scans. It's kind of like an X-ray machine, and it went down randomly. And the lady went down there. I was thinking it's just some regular computer. They just need to get back on the network. She showed me what it was. I was like, I have never seen that before. I have no clue what that is. So I was like, okay, I'll tell you. I can get something about it. I had no idea what I was doing. I was looking around articles, couldn't find anything. Then I finally pinged one of the level 2 techs, and he was telling me, "Oh, that's an X-ray machine. Make sure the IP address is correct." Because basically, someone signed out of the machine, but they have a static IP address. So when they signed out, it restarted the computer, and every time the computer restarts, it gives it a random IP address. So when the computer turned back on, it was trying to ping that IP address that it was set. There's a set one for that. It wasn't receiving anything back, so none of the software is working. But the technician too, he helped me figure that out, because he was telling me, what's the IP address? This is what it was, but he was like, no, these machines have this specific IP address, and I was like, why did it randomly change? And we found out that someone logged out of the machine. So it was a simple fix, but the machine was down for at least 2 days, I think.
Oh my goodness, dang.
Yeah, so they had other rooms, but they couldn't use that room to use it. So it was just little things like that where it's like I was stressing because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing to try to fix this.
So for 2 days, you were kind of looking for answers on your own. And then you
Yeah,
asked.
and sometimes, like I said, some level 2 people, they just won't answer. Like they'll say, okay, I'll talk. I'll give you give me a second. They just won't respond that day. And then you ask someone else, can you help me with this? I need help. They're like, okay, give me a second. So there were certain ones that that we knew who to reach out to that would kind of give you an answer. That are more like, I guess, friendly. Some people would just be like, that's wrong. And then, okay, so how am I supposed to fix this? So it was, I think that's just with the hospital too. Like some of those people have been there for like 10 plus years. So it's like,
True.
They're stuck in their ways. So they're not really trying to help. They're just trying to get the job done kind of thing.
True.
Now, but when it's on their issue and it's like a user group permissions issue where only they can fix, yeah, they're definitely on that. And they want us to go down to the computer to test it for them in person. They'll do that in a heartbeat. But yeah, and that's kind of, like I said, that's kind of like with the different levels in IT. It's like, which it makes sense because like you want them to kind of learn themselves because that's how they get to level up.
Yeah.
To different levels of efficiency. But like it is rough in the beginning.
True. Yeah, that makes sense. We definitely have that at my job too.
Mm-hmm.
I think really any job has that, that, just that level of superiority. People think like they're better than somebody else. Can't help it, but they're at the bottom, but it makes no sense. Mm-hmm. What's a profession other than IT support that IT support is similar to, in your opinion? Or a sport?
Gotcha. I'll probably say like a detective. Like you working for like a police department, just because like detectives, they use tools to solve problems, but like they may not have like all the pieces of the puzzle. They may have like they know someone was here at this time and they left at this time, but they don't know anything in between. They have to reach out to different sources to figure out information. But at the end of the day, they're like solving a problem. And I feel like that's what IT, like we're solving a problem that, I mean, yes, a paying customer has versus like, a citizen that a detective would have. But like we're still trying to solve problems with tools, and our tools are technical. Other detective tools maybe some of them may be technical. You're looking through webcams, security cams, or looking at different like sign out logs. Trying to figure out where someone was, something like that. So yeah, it makes me think about that.
Okay, that's a really good example. I didn't. That's like the first, like, I guess, service based job example that we get a lot of like wrestling anecdotes, like in the UFC ones, yeah. But no, that's good. Yeah. That's a really good one. What does a world without IT support look like?
I would also probably say like a stressful world, because without us, it would have to go on to engineers, and a lot of engineers, they don't want to talk to customers. They just want to fix the issue and then let their manager know it's fixed. Like that's all they care about. Results. They don't want to talk. They don't want to stay on a Zoom call for an hour and a half, like apologizing for the customer that something was broken. Like they don't want to do that at all.
True.
So I feel like people would definitely be more stressed out. Customers would be more stressed out, and also our stakeholders will be more stressed out.
Okay, that's good. What's the worst stigma associated with IT support?
That we're all nerdy. Like I think that's another reason why like I didn't get it. Like I didn't want to do it, but I didn't really know much about it in high school, because like to me, I had the stigma as well. Like people who are super nerdy, like they know about computers. Like no one else really knows. But then when like I said, when I took the class, Mr. Sutton, he made it really like plain and made it really simple, but actually like enjoyable. Like even in the class, there was like a different kind of personalities within the class as well. So it showed like it gave like technology a different light, where it's like we just know how to use tools to fix things. It's not about like you said, a stigma, but it's like that's true in itself. That, like I said, we're literally just using tools to fix problems, specifically on a computer versus like in real life.
True, that's good. I disagree for cybersecurity, because everyone that works in my company, it don't matter what department they work in, they're in sales, engineering, they're all nerds. Like you can,
yeah, I don't know
you can tell, like it's like you can like it's because I've met a lot of them in person, but I'm like even me though, I'm like, yo, y'all are like, and it's funny because people try to like act like different people. You can tell, but I'm like, yo, y'all are like nerd. I can tell like y'all have like no friends and like, because it's something be saying. I'm like, that's the stuff. Like, you remember Ethan? Like, used to ride a bus with us.
Oh yeah,
Like that's how he used to
he was
talk.
in my
Like
class.
he was, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
saying like,
he was in my level 2 class. I took the level 1 year, and I think he was a fresh. No, he must have been a sophomore then when he took level 2. And I was like, "Oh, you in here?" So yeah, he was in there.
I didn't know he went to UNCG.
No, at high school.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah. He
yeah.
was in.
See,
He was in my,
yeah.
that's how I
It,
knew him because I was like, "Oh, he's in my class."
See, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They remind me of him. I'm like, yo, y'all are like, but it's not a bad thing, but it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there's definitely that like in like I feel like in like my industry or the industry I'm in, like people act like they're not, and I'm like, yo, y'all are definitely nerds. You can just tell, like, because like they'll act and like you can just hear it come out. I'm like, dude, what are you even talking about? Like, you talking about like galaxies being formed and stuff like that? What are you talking
Yeah.
about? Are you underpaid or overpaid as an IT support?
I said for my current position, I'm definitely overpaid. Like I don't. I'm glad they give me this, but it's like, yeah, I'm definitely. I wouldn't say that for most other IT jobs. Definitely underpaid. Like when I worked at Chapel Hill, I was definitely underpaid. I mean, for the stuff I was doing there, I was basically like running because I would so during the fall semester when they had MBA programs, I would run those too. So I would help the MBA professors and the MBA professors, and sometimes I would help the full time students. So they had so many different programs at Chapel Hill. They had MBA, they had the online business program, the in person business program, then they had MBA. So sometimes I'd be helping professors, create content for all four, but also troubleshooting the students. So yeah, I wouldn't say everyone is overpaid. Most of them are underpaid.
Okay. Damn. You're the first like significantly overpaid guest we've had.
Wow.
everyone else like they're scared to say like, oh well,
I
I'm
guess
like
no, I guess I said it because it's like the stuff I'm doing is like anybody could do it. There's nothing special about even if you didn't, go to college for IT. It comes easier to me because I've been, I had so many different experiences, so many different jobs, so I can kind of get it faster.
yeah.
But like anybody can kind of do it, so it's like it's nothing special. Like I don't know that I know.
But I feel that's true of a lot of high paying jobs. I feel like the more high paying job I feel like if a job is outside of like medical or like engineering, and not even software engineering, but like civil, I mean not
Mm-hmm.
civil, civil, mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's outside of those like two spheres, I feel like jobs are easy. Like I don't care
Okay.
what like that's why I hate when I can't get an interview at a job. I'm like, dude, I know this job is easy. Like I know I can do
Yeah.
this job. I can learn it in 2 months, like flat, if that.
Yeah. They literally just teach you everything. So it's
Yeah, it's like I was interviewing for a job in my company, and like they're like, nah, but they didn't say no, but like I did that in the interview, but the dude told me he's like, yeah, the job is tough, so we have a 6 month training period. I'm like, dude, so y'all couldn't like just put me in the training, like the trend, like y'all couldn't just give me the job,
mm-hmm.
like I'm already at the company, so why not just like internally promote me and like even leave me at lateral pay and let me train for 6 months, then I'm another job. But like, there's no way. I really think it's like I don't think it's true that someone can go through training of any job for I don't care what it is for 6 months and not know how to do a job at the end of 6 months. I
Yeah.
don't care what intellectual capacity someone's in. If someone can't do a job for 6 months of training and learning, there's like they're just not a human being at that point. Um, what's one book, person, or event that changed the trajectory of your life and why?
I'll probably go back to the high school teacher, Mr. Sutton. Like I said, he just made it seem so like enjoyable. And like I said, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what I was going to study. I thought I was going to study biology in college, but then I took an honors bio class, and my teacher, what's her name? I think her name Miss Summers. I think she said something like you need to take like pre calc and pre something another math before graduating if you want to do biology in college. I was like, well, there's no way I'm doing that because I'm taking bare minimum math right now.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no way I'm going to do that. So I literally had no idea what I was going to do until I did that, and it really helped me. Like I said, it's really easy. I have never really had to like think about how to never really stress about a job. I just knew like it'll probably take me a while to get one,
Yeah.
but I knew I would have one. And even right out of college, I had a job the same week I graduated. Like they sent me an offer letter the same week I graduated. Now, granted, I didn't know what I was doing for those 6 months. That they were teaching me, and I probably still didn't know it the whole time. I was only there for a year.
Yeah.
But I always had a job, and it's always benefited me and like growing different. So I appreciate that.
Okay, Mr. Sutton. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Last question. If you met a young, let's just say met a young Tisha at 18, she saw this video and she wants to become an IT support, senior customer support expert, what are the steps that you give her to be where you're at? Maybe quicker. I don't know if it's not possible, whatever, but like if she could get there, say she wants to get there quicker than you got there, what are steps you give her?
Okay. So first I would say probably definitely figure out which part of IT you want to be in, because that was my issue as well when I was trying to leave the VoIP company. I didn't know if I wanted to go in to like management services IT, which is like basically you work for a company that handles another's company all IT needs, or if I want to go into like a specific technology, which is like I only know Microsoft technology, so I'm going to be an IT technician for Microsoft own technology. So that was like a big thing because there's pros and cons for both. Or like where I am now, where you're more so application support, so you're just working on a software that a company provides to another customer. So those are kind of like the three areas. There's pros and cons for all three, but I would say that for one, try to figure out which one you think you would want to go into, and then from there, definitely take some kind of course or classes that kind of can get you prepared for that. So I would say if college is good for you, definitely go to college to get some hands-on training. Like I said, make sure you look at the program before and make sure they're teaching up-to-date materials. Sometimes you can even email the professor and ask, what technology are you using in the class? Because if the IT class is not using technology, it's probably a waste of time, because that's all you need to know really is like any new technology you're using, or they're using this to solve a problem. So you need to figure out, what the industry is using. And then from there, I would say definitely try to get an internship. I had 2 internships when I worked in college. I had one that was more so like a traditional IT role where I went to different. It was over the summer. I went to different schools to set up their IT for like the summer reading program. So like a lot of students were there, so I would set up their IT. I would help the teachers with any technical issue they had in classroom, like computers, login, stuff like that. So that was really fun. Like we just were going, and I realized I kind of like that work, but I realized I wouldn't want to do that for 20 years because I'll have bad knees, like crawl under desk and go in the attics and stuff. That's not fun, but it was fun while it lasted for that summer. Then the other IT job I had was more so like corporate. It was more so like working. It was with a logistics company, so that was more so like managed services IT. So I'm the IT technician for Walmart.com. Like all Walmart employees, if they have issues with Walmart, their computer, their mouse, their software that Walmart uses, let's say to like create storage and stuff like that, like I would help them like for their company, not so much customer facing. So that was interesting too. But I realized, pros and cons with that as well. Like there's not, with that kind of job, it's like you literally see the same thing every day. Like it's really monotonous. Like you probably get 30, 35 password resets, a day, and it's kind of boring. So that's with that. And also, I'll probably say the last step is just to apply, like literally apply to anything, because you never know what you'll get. Like in my situation, I applied to that VoIP job, and the official name was called TAC Voice Analyst, which stands for Technical Account Center Voice Analyst. I had no clue what that was. I just knew it was technical. They asked if you had the IT experience, if you understood IP addresses, and I said, yeah, I do. And I applied, and I got the job. So I would say just apply, and you will figure out what you don't and don't like. I feel like that's the biggest thing. Like you do need to figure out what you do like, so you won't job hop a lot. And that's kind of like what I did for when I left UNC to go to the hospital. I did want more money, but also I didn't want to work late, and I realized that's what I wanted. And from there, and at at the hospital, I didn't work late, and I got more money. But there was other things about the job I didn't like, and I knew for my next role, I knew what I wanted. So like every role, I kind of understood what I liked and what I didn't like, and now I kind of have that where I am currently, where I love everything about it. Where I am currently. So yeah, I would say definitely try to figure out what you do and don't like, because I feel like that makes it breaks the job. Even though the tasks may be boring or they may be monotonous, if you really don't like something about the job, it'll eventually make you quit. Even if the people are nice and the pay is good, like my second shift, there was no way I could get around that. I had to go in at second shift every day, and I was like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Some people work third shift. One guy, he was working third shift he was there for like 19 years. I'm like, bro, how are you? Well, he was a lot older. He had like his kids were all old, so he came to work every day at 11:30 at night and left at 7 a.m. So he liked doing it. I mean, with that too, you get more pay because you get like I think it's like $2 more per hour or something like that.
So. That's what Amazon. I worked at Amazon. They paid me like $3 extra for the night shift.
Yeah, so
for the 7 to 7, and it was Amazon paid pretty decent if you don't got a job. That's all I gotta say. But it's definitely legal slave labor. That's all I gotta say about that.
Definitely. Yeah, I did take like worked at UPS for a week. I was like, I'm not doing this ever again.
Amazon. I got to get an Amazon worker on here because I worked at Amazon. I think I worked there for like 3 months. I would never forget that. That was the most like that. When I worked at Amazon, I was like literally praying, like, thank God that I don't actually have to work here. I was just working to make extra money. I didn't need the money either. So I was like, thank God I'm actually not stuck. Like this is actually horrible.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, this has been a great interview. We really appreciate you coming on and really telling us about the world of IT support. If you feel comfortable, give people your like your LinkedIn, and like some social medias if you want to. You don't gotta get social media if you don't want to.
Yeah. I don't really use social media that much, but my LinkedIn is Victor Newsom there. I don't think I updated it, honestly. I need to go in there and update it. But you can find me on there. I rarely post something. I may like something here and there, but yeah, I really appreciate you, William, and continue to do this and learn more. I definitely learned a lot about different jobs through this. I would say this is very helpful. That was one of the reasons why I'm currently doing the data analytics certificate, because I watched your video with the data analytics person you had come on. So that was really
Kareem,
cool.
We got a man. It's crazy because like Kareem shared it to his LinkedIn. So that's like my most biggest video so far, other than shorts. And like you're like the third or fourth person that told me that like they got a data analytics. They give a data analytics certification because of that video. So dang, shout out Kareem. Kareem make video too. Kareem actually he has like 400 subscribers right now. And he started after me, and he has like, I'm pretty sure he's like 200,000 views on his Instagram. Nice. I mean, on his YouTube, because he does like electronic reviews, like, and he does like videos with his phone. He like Samsung. You probably know what phone he got. Okay, so he does